Hey guys, Jet 888 here. It's June 19th. That's Juneteenth today. Everyone seems like they're talking about it. I wanted to go over some things that I'm just looking at the whole thing as being a little bit of a propaganda piece. Personally, I haven't even really heard of Juneteenth until just a few years ago. And when I looked on YouTube, the oldest video I could find was a 4-year-old video. This is a 3-year-old video, this one here that I'm picturing. It's called Juneteenth Celebration, and it's by Hamilton with, of course, you got the star. I don't know what's with one sleeve up, one sleeve down. I'm not sure. What's up is down. I don't know. So I'm sure the sleeve is about, it's all about the what's up is down, what's black is white kind of thing. And then we've got the braid here. So I'm just sort of wondering if the word braid was thrown in there for some reason, because it's a bird, and you know what's going on now. They want you to all be very afraid. I definitely think that this is a man also, and that's why she is covering his jawline, because you can tell if it's a male or female, but you can also see the brow ridge there. So this is pretty much a male. But I want to show you some symbolism that I've noticed in this video amongst other symbols and anagrams and some gematria to go with this. And notice how this person is kind of an androgynous looking type of being, which is what I think their kind of goal is now, is sort of all one sex. I'm also going to show you the Google illustration today, but let's look at this one real quick. See in the background, you got the little spiral. So these symbols were shown on the FBI's investigation intel bulletin. So there's your little spiral thing, and there's a coin too. I'll show you something about that later. But there's your coin and your little snail shell looking thing, which I think that in the background symbolizes, and I'll go look a little bit deeper into that. But this symbol is an involute, and it's to curve. But another weird definition, to return to a normal shape. Is that anything like the new normal? But also up here, involute by Merriam, it says to return to former condition, to become cleared up, disappear. So to disappear. And I think it's interesting too, because the snail shell has the same spiral. The word snail is also nails, and the nails were in the cross. So regarding shellfish and toxins and the snail thing, this is, and I've shown this a lot of times before on my videos on YouTube, the unauthorized storage of toxic agents. This was the church hearing, Senate hearing meetings. I find it very funny or interesting that this was on page 201. But they do talk about the storage of shellfish toxins. And this is the Department of Defense, and it is talking about chemical warfare programs. National Security Council, Department of State Defense. It's interesting how the type is so bad, but talking about technology, Scientific Advisory Committee. But they do talk about paralytic shellfish poison. So anyhow, I just find that this Juneteenth video I'm showing you, and there's your the 8 infinity sign kind of. But like seriously, I can't tell if this is a male or a female. It looks male, but I don't know. But there's the shellfish toxin. Anyhow, I just feel like this is very symbolic. And the dancing in this video is interesting, but I feel like it's a little bit of maybe propaganda. Remember all the Disney Under the Sea things and how they had so many shellfish characters? Here's one of Disney's shellfish characters, a mollusk actually, same thing, shellfish, a snail. So I was going to just point out, notice the lemon with the snail. And when I look up the word lemon, here's the gematria. The left side is Jewish gematria, the right two numbers are English and simple gematria, just the numerology. But lemon is also equal to the words of Negro, crow, tin and net, which tin 10 is AI, barcode, dragon, and slave. And I haven't gotten that far into the video, but later on these will make sense to you. And a book I haven't shown yet in the video, and I was talking about the illustrator John Klassen in this book called The Dark that he illustrated by Lemony Snicket. Here's the word lemon again, lemon, and crow. You know, it reminds me of the Human Health Services, the HHS, as the young person, small person, metamorphosizes into what looks like a crow. It could be an eagle, but it could also be a crow. But regarding Lemony Snicket, that funny, weird, strange name, I know it's just a pen name, but the word snicket is a passageway between walls or fences. Remember, build the wall? And more likely, maybe how our borders are being infiltrated. There's an invasion going on, by the way. And I'll talk too about this little speedy guy with the black cross, and that's supposed to be a red cape, but also he has a red mask on, and I'll interview or explain that later. But there's your little mollusk, the shellfish. And when I look up this author by Lemony Snicket, just real quickly his name, and it says Snicket, a narrow alleyway. Lemony Snicket, pen name of American Daniel Handler. So the word Daniel is DNA lie, and remember DNA is the number 19, lie, handler. So anyhow, I just thought that was sort of a strange coincidence. But he is the author of the series of Unfortunate Events novels. And this won't make sense now, but here are his characters. Jocko Snicket, like under the sea kind of Jocko Stowe, remember him? You got Kit Snicket, and I showed the PCR kits later in this video, and Lemony Snicket. And Lemony, the word lemon actually just has some weird coincidences that we're going to be dealing with soon, especially that word, the barcode. There's your dragon, slave, lemon, crow, negro, tin, and net, which is AI, the 10. So I'll get back to the Juneteenth. His name was, what was his name? Oh yeah, Speedy. Wears a red mask with a black X on each side, has a red cap attached to the black back of his shell. The red cape, interesting, like a little superhero. Super duper hero X. Remember all these little things, the little superhero kids? Remember them? An involute is to become cleared up or to disappear. But Juneteenth, a little bit more detail about that. This says, on June 19th, 1865, Major General Gordon Granger arrived in Galveston, Texas to enforce the end of slavery with General Order Number 3. Just looking at this whole statement, you've got 5 G's in there. There's 5 G's. And looking at the anagram for Major General Gordon Granger, Grand Goal Jog, mRNA error gene. And jog is to nudge or knock slightly. So when they started doing those injections, I thought that was sort of weird. So anyhow, when I look also at the back of behind this androgynous type of person, you look at the back there, and to me that looked like that trident spear. There's a trident of Poseidon. So when I look at that spear and I compare that, and it even has like a little sun reflection there, and just flip it upside down, why I looked at the trident of Poseidon and why I feel like that symbol might be intentional is because when you look at the word Poseidon, it's poisoned. And looking at the entire anagram for trident of Poseidon, you look down below, it's poisoned tort fiend. And fiend is like a devil or wicked, cruel person. And tort is a wrongful act or an infringement of a right. Do you think you've seen that in the last couple of years? Here's Poseidon with his little trident. So poisoned tort fiend. And when I look a little closer at the Google today for Juneteenth, the little doodle, so there's a lot of things that I see here. So looking bottom left here, the little bird on the ground behind these little kids jumping rope. I'll show you why that comes into play. Let's just do it now. So just looking at some of the symbolism that they leave us, because I don't think anything's by accident. And here's Google with this little bird that I've shown. I've thought at first, well, maybe bird flu, it's just a detox, but whatever. So you got that symbol, which those are weird little wings. But when I looked up the symbol, the extinction symbol with an X-shaped pictogram of an hourglass, the letter X stands for the first symbol of the word extinction. So isn't that weird too? Because everyone thinks that Mr. Elon Musk with his X. Okay, so I'm really late on getting this Juneteenth out because things just didn't work out, and I'm not going to make it probably until tomorrow, which will be the 20th. But this is Google's little doodle tonight. Look how violent and clashing this seems. Look at these weird, interesting little face mask stuff. It almost looks like African face masks. So I just find this is very interesting. There's our spikes right there. Spikes. We also saw the spikes, which I haven't hit yet though, but we see, besides the dew weapons there, we see the spikes in this grass. If we look close, they're hard spiky things, just like we're seeing the spikes on the Google Doodle. Yeah, this is really violent. And those are African face masks, it looks like to me. Like warrior masks. And there's your 5-5. We had that, the 5-5 was also there in Juneteenth's Google Doodle. See if we look in the background over here. Let's see, right here. There's 3 cherries and 2 cherries, that's 5. And these are whatever, bell peppers or something, but that's 5 too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's your 5 and your 5. And here it is in Jewish gematria. It's Diana, that's DNA AI. What they've injected into a lot of people, or at least what the 5G is going to bring. Here it is also in another way. There's DNA AI also. So they have this way up on top of this list. So this obviously DNA AI is important. So here's also your alphabet, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, and then it's also AI. So it's your alphabet with AI. In English gematria, there's your 330. And your simple gematria, it's the alphabet with AI in the back, and at the end, it goes HI and then AI. So this is nice to know. Here you go. There's your 5, 5, and 330, which is Satan. So they definitely want you to know. They want you to know that they're laughing at you. That's ah ha 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 ha, whatever, 55, 330, and 55. They're laughing. And that's interesting because Snell, there's your 16, but if you flip it upside down, there's your, and backwards, it's 19. Flip it upside down, it's 19, well 190, but you take out the 0, there's your 33, 330, there's your 55. So that's Snell. It's like alphabet AI. So when I look at this whole Google thing, there's your eyeball, which is sort of like the Horus eyeball, the all-seeing eye. But the child jumping rope looks like she's the pupil. It just looks like the eyes are intentional to be focused on. And when I look at the word propaganda, when I look at the anagrams, it's a pagan prod, And a prod is a pointed implement, typically one discharging electric current and used as a goad. And propaganda can also be a pagan drop, as in that. We've seen some pagan drops recently. So this could be considered a pagan drop, you think? That's aluminum. You know, they're dropping from the sky. And what about this same type of thing? Dropping on you, right on top of us. Propaganda can also be Papa Dragon, a grandpa op. And when I look at the word grandpa op, remember when you hear like to grandfather it in? So to grandfather something, and it refers to allowing existing entities, conditions, or situations to continue under old rules or exemptions even after new rules or regulations have been implemented that would otherwise prohibit them. The term originates from provisions in laws or regulations that exempt existing persons or things from new regulations, essentially allowing them to remain unaffected by the new rules due to their prior status or existence. It's kind of like the rulers. So the grandfather, did you ever hear the do as I say, not as I do when you're growing up? So updated rules and stuff apply to all of us, but not to those who have run the roost for a long time. Now we see the sun. We see that all the time. Here is the butterfly. Always got to have the butterflies. People are so programmed. Everything has a butterfly in it. So when I see butterflies, I think of the monarch, like the monarch programming, the mind control. And also though, if you look at the anagram for monarch, it's no march, like don't resist, don't stand up, just consent. Or it could mean that there's no spring, like there's no babies being born. I have baby chicks right outside my door, so if that's what you hear. So the monarch is a sovereign head of state, especially king, queen, or emperor, the reigning monarch, a person who reigns over a kingdom or empire. It would almost be like the Papa Dragon or a grandpa op, the grandfather. So the reigning monarch, it's also reigns or to control or steer. And the rain, have you heard the rain on your parade? And when you think of rain, you think, at least I think of climate change, which the anagram for that is chemical agent. Another anagram for climate change is get mechanical, like metal, like they're trying to merge metal with clay, and that just doesn't work. But they're trying to do that. So the monarch butterfly, because it's such a strong symbol for just mind control. You can read more about it on the Internet Archive if you want, at archive.org, the Project Monarch. It's all about mind control. Most of us probably know this. It's about the ritualized abuse, trauma-based mind control. So I looked at the more about the monarch butterfly. It's known by scientists as Danaus, I don't know how to say that, Plexippus, which in Greek literally means sleepy transformation. You think enough of people are asleep and they're just sort of being, I don't know, programmed or indoctrinated. So I thought that was sort of interesting, the meaning of that scientific word, Danaus, Plexippus. So when I looked at the anagram for that, it supplies you DNA packs. Look at the word packs. It says it means peace, a period of general stability in international affairs under the influence of dominant military power. So looking at the needlecraft from the past 4 or 5 years, I kind of thought that that was really pretty, I don't know, relevant, I guess. And when you look at the DNA, what they want us to see, it looks like a peace sign. So I kind of thought that that looked sort of, you know, similar. This is the deoxyribonucleic acid. Basically DNA is the better, easier word, but, and look at that, the DNA strand, if we're believing still in the DNA strand stuff, but it almost looks like a twister too, like the Wizard of Oz. Anyhow, there's your peace sign. And I thought that was interesting because June 19th, which is today, the numerology in Jewish gematria is 1197, as is 666, as in deoxyribonucleic acid is also 1197. So June 19th, Juneteenth is also like DNA. Here's some more Jewish gematria. 1197, June 19th is the tangled web, transformation matrix, and the the dark overlord. So I went to also to look at this general, the Gordon Granger's name. With the Major General Gordon Granger, the grand goal is to jog mRNA error gene, which I think is sort of interesting. Granger's name for gematria. I'm coming down here, and we're looking specifically at the English and the simple gematria, and that would be the Great Dragon, Wizard of Oz, and Trojan Horse, and those are the numbers right there to the right. Papa Dragon was one of the possible anagrams, and the gematria for Gordon Granger is also the Great Dragon. So again, looking at the monarch butterfly that they always tend to have, they always throw butterflies at you. And looking at its scientific name, Danus plexippus. Another anagram is the supplies you DNA pax, which I said was peace, and I wanted to look at that word pax again. Here's DNA's pax pile us up, and Pax's DNA pile us up. Just some plays on that anagram for the monarch butterfly scientific name. And when I look at other things regarding the word Pax, here's Sarah Pennypacker, Journey Home. Pax's Journey Home. And here's an illustration by John Klassen. And the illustrator John Klassen's name can be looked at as an anagram as Jank Lesson. And jank is the term jank in IT refers to defects or low quality processes that lead to poor response times for software, or it's also a bad or messed up lesson. Looking a little closer in this illustration by John Klassen, notice the fox with its little fox friend here, and look at the illustration. You've got the sun, of course. We've always got the suns. Notice those direct lines coming from the clouds in like perfect straight lines, which you would probably never find in nature. Those could be like dew weapons, and those trees could almost look like graveyard headstones. But let me just read to you a little bit about this little book, the story of Pax's Journey Home. It could also be like six packs, like what you'd find with Corona beer. I just want to show you one more quick thing before I read about Pax. The illustrator John Klassen, he does a lot of other illustrations, and here's another book he's illustrated by Lemony Snicket, illustrated by John Klassen again, and it's about the dark. And notice the stairwell. So Lemony in Jewish gematria equals 545, as does Penny, and does also Peter the Dragon. So you've got Penny Packer here. We have Lemony Snicket here. So Lemony in Jewish gematria equals 545, as does Penny, and does also Peter the Dragon. We have Peter the Dragon, and we have under Gordon Granger the Great Dragon. In the word propaganda, we've got Papa Dragon. Looking at the gematria for dragon, it also happens to be Negro, which is kind of funny because Negro is also, with this simple and English gematria, lemon. See, it's got the 59 and the 354. Slave. There's our dragon again. And the Jewish gematria is also cracker. And remember that word propaganda, it could be a pagan drop. And we're seeing the little butterfly like a monarch, like MK Ultra mind control. And I mentioned how the reigning monarch, and the word reigns is also to control, but also rain on your parade, and also climate change. But there's your rain drop, which is chemical agent. And looking from the word butterfly, and there's the monarch butterfly, and I was talking about no march. It could also be march on, so you can't forget that. March on. And according to Merriam-Webster dictionary, the march on, the phrase march on, is also march on, move toward something in order to attack it, to come toward a place in order to attack it. March on. And going back to that story about packs, because I just feel like it's really strange to me to see those kind of straight lines coming out of a cloud. It looks more like dew weapon. So I'm just going to read you what this story says. It says, "It's been a year since Peter and his pet fox Pax have seen each other. Once inseparable, they now lead very different lives." I wonder if that's like your spirit and your body. You know, the mind, body, spirit, they're all together, but now they're being separated, maybe because of some of the needle crafting. But anyhow, so this is Pax and his mate Bristol, and I'm going to go look at Bristol, like Bristol Myers, but Bristol in Jewish gematria equals 306, as does the word master, as does the name of God. And master in simple gematria is the same as BlackRock's simple gematria, simple and English. And Bristol, just to kind of jump up there again, spelled differently, but this is Bristol Myers Squibb, has a global exclusive license to develop, manufacture, and commercialize the Rockefeller University's novel monoclonal antibody dual treatment that neutralizes the SARS-CoV-2 virus for therapy and prevention of that. Go figure. So there's your Bristol. And remember, Pax, looking at the monarch butterfly's scientific name, when you look at the anagram, it supplies you DNA packs. And when you look down to it, Pax, a period of general stability in international affairs under the influence of dominant military power. Pax and his mate Bristol have welcomed a litter of kits. It's funny because when you look up the word kit, you get a lot of a mention of PCR, master kits. But they welcome a litter of kits they must protect in a dangerous world. Meanwhile, Peter, newly orphaned after the war, sounds like a Disney movie, racked with guilt and loneliness. Oh yeah, did I mention when I was referring to Juneteenth, I likened Juneteenth, that's regarding the slavery, is to Americans what the Holocaust or genocide was to Germans. So Juneteenth is to Americans what the Holocaust was to Germans. So that's shame and guilt. They just want people to know or feel shame and guilt, which you should feel if you do that to people, but this is still going on today. So it's not like we've learned something. It's not like there's been lessons learned, because it still continues by the reigning monarchs, the people who are still in control. Meanwhile, Peter, and I think it's funny because Peter, just looking at the anagram, but it's not spelled right, but Peter and repeat. Meanwhile, Peter, newly orphaned after the war, racked with guilt and loneliness, leaves his adopted home with Vola to join the water warriors. Water warriors. There's your water drop under the word propaganda, a pagan drop. And that's kind of funny because water warriors at 2376 is equivalent to give me liberty or give me death. And 2376 is also, we're calling it Black Lives Matter. And battle of good versus evil comes to America. So Peter joins the group, Water Warriors, people who are determined to heal the land from the scars of the war. When one of Pax's kits falls desperately ill, he turns to the one human he knows he can trust, and no matter how hard Peter tries to harden his broken heart, love keeps finding a way in. Now both boy and fox find themselves on journeys toward home, healing, and each other once again, as they get dew-weaponed from the sky, dropping down on them. The word also propaganda can be prop and aga, and aga is American Gas Association. Look where they're in Washington. Imagine that. Going back to that Google today, their little doodle, the Google doodle, and that bird. You think something like the bird flu that they're trying to push is there, and that may not be the sun. Maybe it's something else to look like a little germ. Looking again at the Google doodle on the ground, notice all the little squares that hit the hopscotch squares, but if you look at it, that's kind of the shape of a cross, and it's on the ground, laying down. So if I look up the word hopscotch, we get a couple, a Red Dragon Bible Code, Charlotte, Acquired, Hopscotch, Rothschilds. There's Riot Games, exact same numerology. There's Obliterate, same numerology as Hopscotch. And same with Socialist. Same as Hopscotch. There's your Hopscotch. I mean, everything they show you, you know, it's they can do this because it gives them plausible deniability. If you look at this little child's braids, you know, the pupil in the middle of the eye. If you look at the colors, you've got 2 green, 2 orange, and 2 yellow. So that's 222. And I'm picking out the word brains because Elon Musk is always looking after our Neuralink thing. But there's 222 and also the number 63. And if you look in the background, you see 6 little ice cubes, if that's what these are. 6 little ice cubes here, 3 and 3. And then you have 3 little slices of cake there, so you have 6, 3. So that to me is a code for brains. 222 and 63. 222 and 63 is also border. Like our borders are being infiltrated, but different spelling. And right below that is also I'm a dragon at 222. And 222 in the symbol in English gematria is orange is the new lemon. Orange. And 222 under simple gematria is also World Economic Forum, the WEF. Or if you flip around WEF, it's few, as in less people, as in depopulation, as in genocide. And the hopscotch being the shape of a cross, or if it's upside down, that's satanic cross. But then in the background, you've got the table with the food, which could resemble like or symbolize the Last Supper. But it's just funny though how all the stations, they're all covering Juneteenth, all the big channels. So they're all getting it out there. So here's one that's 4 years ago, Juneteenth, what you need to know. The Emancipation Proclamation, so what you need to know. 4, 5, 6 fists. Juneteenth is the oldest nationally celebrated commemoration of the ending of slavery in the United States, the emancipation, but I truly have not heard of this until about 4 years ago. Here's another 4 year ago video, new chapter, like the new normal. Juneteenth Freedom Day with your star. You got your black and white umbrella. Got your rainbow colors, sort of. Black Lives Matter. Okay, here's one. Finally, I found one 8 years ago. Juneteenth Freedom at Last. So there you go. An 8-year-old video, which is finally seen something older than 4 years. So I'd be interested to see how long you guys have heard of the word Juneteenth. Has it been longer than 4 or 5 years for you? Because I remember it's only been probably 3 or 4 for me at the most. But just remember, keeping people in a victim type of mentality is not a good thing at all. So one of my biggest points here is, what is the point of remembering if you continue to allow it, or it continues happening? I mean, if we're still in the middle of it, it's not like we've gotten rid of the slavery, because everyone, the way these corruption and the governments are running, and the people who run the governments, they're doing the same thing. We're still in slavery. So if we think that the celebration is showing that we've all woke up, you know, we're still in the middle of it, so we got a lot more fighting to do. And this New Yorker video, it talks about telling the story of slavery, and it compares against using the Holocaust, but it doesn't mention Juneteenth though. So I've only found one video that talks about Juneteenth that was 8 years ago, and that's in Minnesota. So how could that be? If there's only one 8-year-old, 8 years ago video on Juneteenth, and we have so many today, how old is this really? Okay, now here's a video. This is strange. So Southern Living, grandmother of Juneteenth, Opal Lee, shares the importance of this historic holiday. So Southern icons. And this is only May 24th, 2021. 2021. So it says she's a 94-year-old trailblazer on a mission to generate greater recognition for Juneteenth across the United States. So this was covered on May 24th, 2021. And so Opal Lee, that's her, leads a 2.5-mile march from downtown Fort Worth, Texas, to signify the remaining length of time that these slaves in Texas were left. So they didn't know that they had been freed. That was the big kind of interesting thing about this. But her message is good. None of us are free until we are all free, and the freedom is what we still have to work towards. And here's a picture of her with little peach blossoms or something, apple blossoms. Is she really a woman though? I don't know. Anyhow, that's her name, Opal Lee. There's the anagram, L Pol, and there you go. But I do want us all to work together. That I definitely do want that. I don't think we need these propaganda things though. I think we just need to all work together and know who the tyrants are. There's her throne in the background in the mirror there. Kind of interesting, huh? All right, for now, Juneteenth. But let's also not forget that it is the 19th also. And remember, I've always been talking about the 19th. 1-9 is AI. And AI is also DNA as far as the numerology goes. Just to let you know. So hold on to yours, okay? Don't give it away, and don't let people mess it up with some needlecraft. So if we look at DNA, and to the right there's all those numbers. If we reduce those numbers, the top is 45, that's 9, move down there's 6, and then move down, that's 10 and 1. So 961. When we look at 961, look what we get. Digital currency, there's 961. If you want to flip it around, it's 169. Either way you flip it, it's digital currency is your DNA. How do you like that?